one of the things Habano sommelier knows is how to pair, how to combine every cigar, every vitola, every flavor of the cigar with drinks, not just with spirits, with cocktails. So if you give me a cigar now and I smoke the cigar, knowing the flavor of the cigar, I can say what is the best spirit or cocktail to combine the cigar. And you don't have to overpower the flavor of the cigar or vice versa, or the cigar overpower the flavor of the cocktail. So you have to know which spirit or cocktail to pair with cigars.
So welcome to an all-new Deep Cuts Live. I'm your host, Antoine Reid, and we have a very special guest. I've been very excited about this show in particular because he's coming from a slightly different industry, even though he's still related to the cigar industry. But we have with us Julio Cabrera. So thank you for coming on. Like, I'm honored and excited. You know, back in a former life when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to be, I was always intrigued by bartending, but it wasn't in the cards for me. So
thank you for having me.
Yeah, like I said, thank you for coming on.
A pleasure.
Yeah, so people always want to know how, we meet and how this kind of show comes together. So I was, wandering around the trade show floor at the PCA, Premium Cigar Association trade show in July, and I came across your booth. And I know you work with Frank, who I've known from when he used to work at Drew Estate. So it really was like, I was like, this is a new brand. This is all, it's always fun to see new brands come into the market. And you were there with Frank and Rebecca. And it was just like a really nice, quick conversation as you had retailers come in to talk to you. But I really enjoyed our conversation. And I've actually tried your cigar. One of them, I forget which one. It was like I want to say the Maestro or something like that. Maybe I have to look back at my notes, but it was a very good cigar. So I'm looking forward to kind of talking to you about your love of cigars, but also of your career leading up to this. Usually how we start off Deep Cuts now is a kind of icebreaker question. So for you, I wanted to ask you, like, if you had the chance to make a cocktail for anyone, dead or alive, who would that person be, and what cocktail would you make for that person?
Interesting. I always say my dad. When I was a bartender in Cuba, I think just once my dad had the possibility to visit me, and it was not during my shift. It was during a competition. So it was during a competition. I won the competition, thanks God, in front of him for the first time. But I was working in a place that was a little bit far from he was living at. So he was not able to sit in my bar and have a drink from me ever. So at home, yeah, of course, rum and coke, something simple. But a real drink in a bar I was working at, I never had the chance to do it. So I was expecting, once I based here in Miami, to have my dad at some point here and to open a bar in his honor too, and make a drink for him. But unfortunately, he passed before I opened Café La Trova, the bar that was inspired in the place he lost, and in Cantinero's culture, all that. So when I opened La Trova, it was a little bit after he passed away. So I didn't have the chance to make a real drink for my dad, sitting in front of me on the other side of the bar. But yeah, that's the person I would love to make a drink. Yeah.
Awesome. That I think leads to a good segue into, so you were born in Cuba, is that correct? Or
yeah. I was born in Cuba, and I came to the States with 42 years old, almost 20 years ago.
Wow. In the cigar world, Cuba's like you know, everything. It's like everything kind of in the cigar world kind of originated from Cuba. But you know, we have some people in the industry who, you know, like you, moved from Cuba at some point in their life. What was it like growing up in Cuba? Because I think a lot of people, especially here in the U.S., we hear about it, but unless you're kind of in the Miami area or, you know, Florida, you don't really get a lot, like, especially the more north you go, you don't really get a lot of people, encounter a lot of people from Cuba. So what was it like growing up in Cuba?
It was great. I mean, it's a blessed to be Cuban. To born in Cuba for me, it was amazing. Cuba is a great country. I mean, it's a great country, and we don't have, you know, unfortunately, we have the system, we have the political system and the government we have for 65 years, but it's not our fault. But Cuba is a great country, and during my childhood, I was happy. I didn't know what was going on beside of my neighborhood, and that when I grew up, I mean, I started understanding a little bit more. I started traveling, working outside the country, and I realized a lot of things. And so I decided to base with my family here in the state, and first in Mexico, and then in the States. But for me, being Cuban is amazing. Cuba have, one of the best cigars in the world, one of the best rum, one of the best people, one of the best music, one of the best culture. So for me, being Cuban, I I could I could learn all that before coming here. So for me, it was important to be there to learn and work with all these brands and to have some knowledge and to have to fit myself with a lot of things that I can implement here in the States.
So I'm always curious for people growing up, you know, obviously you didn't like, what did you want to be when you were growing up? Like, did you say I wanted to be a bartender right away, or did you have some other profession in mind when you were a child?
Yeah, I mean, when I was a child, I wanted to be engineer, a doctor, something. So I study engineer, agriculture engineer. So I specialize in coffee and citrus. I studied tobacco too. Tobacco is one class, but I didn't specialize in that because I was living in another area in Cuba, not in Pinar del Rio. But I specialize in coffee, and I work in coffee plantations on the mountains, and sugarcane and citrus. My last years, and then I decided to move to hospitality 35 years ago in '99. So when I decided to move to hospitality, it was following family tradition. As I mentioned before, my dad used to own bars and coffee shops in Cuba before Castro, and he lost it. He lost everything. He was selling cigars there too, a lot of cigars in those places. Who used to serve, more than cocktail like rum, beers, and coffee, cigars, and all that. And he lost all the businesses. So one of my goals growing up and being an engineer, one of my goals was to be able to follow the family tradition of being a bartender and and take again like the hospitality business.
So when you made that move from being an agricultural engineer to bartending or hospitality, what was that transition like? Did you encounter any resistance from your friends or your family about it? Like, what were their reactions? You know,
I,
obviously,
I
like that you wanted to do as well. So I don't. It's like, what were their reactions, and how did that make you feel?
I mean, I was totally decided to make that move. I was engineer, but it was a little bit boring for me to be just surrounded by plants in the middle of the field every morning, every afternoon. I was in the field with plants, which is good. I love my profession. I love what I study, but my personality is a little bit different. So I'm more like a people to be surrounded with people and
Mhm.
with music and with not with party because I don't party too much, but I love to have fun and to be in another kind of environment. So after some years as engineer on a horse, going around on a horse because I didn't have anything else, it was a little bit boring for me and different personalities. So when I decided to move, uh, since day one, I realized that was my place. Since day one, I found my place like a fish in the water. Like, oh, this is me. Now I can be myself. I can I can give everything I can, because like, it's a lot of things. It's it, the passion for the music, for the dancing, for acting. You can have it behind the bar too. It's not just making drinks. It's entertaining people, and that was part of my DNA. And behind the bar, I found myself, and I could do it with the guests all the time, and for me it was amazing. And yeah, but when I mentioned that to my dad, to my family, when we sit down at the table and I say, listen, I'm gonna quit being an engineer, I'm moving behind the bar and I'm gonna be a bartender. Even if my dad knew that it was his profession, is not what he wanted from me. He wanted for me to be a great engineer, a great professional, but it was not what I was thinking. And he was, of course, he he disagreed, my mom too. But believe me, after 6 months, he called me and say, this is the best decision you ever made. So I was glad he told me that. He told me that's the best decision. Even when I was coming to the state, when I decided to leave Cuba, we sit down, again, the whole family say, okay, I'm leaving forever. Is not to work for a couple months. I'm leaving. I'm gonna have my family with me. We all live in here. I cannot be the professional I want. I cannot reach the place I want in this country. My dreams and my goals are out of here, and we leaving, and that's the decision. He told me, why you leaving? You have a good job here. You're working in Italy. You're working here. You travel the world. Like, you're good. You have your house, and say, yeah, but it's a lot of things that I don't have. The freedom I don't have, and I reached the top of what I can reach here, and I think I can give much more. So of course, they disagreed because they had to stay alone. My sister was living in Spain at that time, and I'm talking 20 years ago. My sister was already living in Spain, and I was the other child, the other kid. So uh, they had to stay alone in Cuba, and of course, I didn't like it. But again, after a couple years after I moved to the state, like 2 years after, he told me that's the best decision you ever made, because they saw the improvement. They saw the happiness. They saw what we were doing. The kids, mostly for my kids, they were like, it's another future for them here, and even another future for me. That I was 42 when I came. I'm almost 60 now, but it was totally another future, and we can reach our goals when we come to this country. So again, he told me that it was a good decision.
And I'm sure, like, when he told you that, it, like, obviously you had made peace with it because you had to do what you wanted to do and what you knew was right for you. But I'm sure that made you feel a little bit better that he kind of gave his blessing of it, because no matter what age you are, you still look for your parents and parental figures in your life to kind of give you their blessing of something. It makes you feel like a little bit better. At least it does for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Because sometimes when you have to announce to your parents a decision like that, they have to work so hard to pay your university, and then to make you a better a person, and then you decide to change what you study with a lot of sacrifice, and then you decide to leave the country to start from zero again. It's a hard decision. And so when we are blessed with something like that, okay, you now I understand you did, you make the right decision. So it is, yeah, for me it was like, yeah, I it was like, no longer that heavy, heavy things on us. Like, we feel much better after that.
So when you finally got into bartending, what was that like? Because as you said, you were in this agricultural engineering background, and bartending seems almost like the opposite end of the spectrum. Seems completely different. So like what about it like really made something like in you snap and say, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, or this is fulfilling to me, and this is what I want to do as a not just as a hobby or side hustle, but as a profession.
Yeah, there were a lot of things that happened at the same time in Cuba. At that time was 1989. So at some point, as I said, I wasn't enjoying that much what I was doing, even if I liked what I studied, not what I was doing. So I had a friend of mine and another cousin, a friend and a cousin, that they moved from other profession to hotel business, to hospitality, and one he was bartending, the other one was like a server in a hotel, and they told me that it was totally different. And I remember the stories from my parents when they owned the cafe in Cuba, the coffee shop, the bar, all the parties, the music, the friends, like a different style, and all the memories that they share with me every night about those businesses. And I say, you know what? It'll be cool if I can do, what my parents do, my family, because well, it was my dad with my grandpa and my grandma, not my mom, but with my pretty much my whole family. It'll be cool if I can do the same, if I can do that, because I think that is more like what I am, more closer to me, my personality. So uh, that's why you know that's what makes me make that decision. My friends, my cousin, and that I was not really enjoying what I was doing, and that makes me make that decision. Yeah.
So when you were kind of going through the process of learning how to be, a bartender, what was like that first skill that you had to master in order, to really get into this new profession?
So it was I can say two different things. One that we have to learn in the school, and the other one that you have to learn where you're working at, and that nobody teach you at the school. And I remember we have to learn by memory a lot of classic cocktails, a lot of classics, and a lot of techniques. How to make the cocktail with the precise technique, and the right amount, measuring everything, and to memorize all the recipe of classic cocktail. But when I went my first time, when I was behind the bar, my first time, my first day, and somebody order a drink that I study is a classic cocktail. Somebody order a drink, I totally forgot it. I didn't know. I totally forgot everything that I studied. And little by little, I have to relax myself and to remember all the recipes. But something that we had to learn before going behind the bar was classic cocktails, the recipes, and the technique how to make them. But something that I learned in the first 1 or 2 months after I started bartending, it was service, hospitality. It's not about the drink you make. It's not how you make it. It's how you treat people, how you make people happy. It's not somebody order, oh, can I have a mojito? Yeah, you make the best mojito. You charge, like you charge, but it's not about that. It's everything you make with the guests while you're preparing the mojito, or even before, or even after you give them the mojito. Is the hospitality, the experience, or the whole experience that you provide while you serving somebody. And something that I learned with somebody that he was even younger than me. At that time I was 25. This guy was 18 years old, and he was when I started bartending with him. He was like 1 year already in that bar. He told me, "Okay, I'm gonna teach you something that you won't ever forget. Is hospitality, like how you have to deal with the guests since they arrive to the bar until they leave." And he was like crazy, like cleaning and talking to the people, and having fun with people, like hitting with them. No, it was amazing to to see how this guy interact with the guests, and everybody was laughing, everybody loved him, and I say, this is what I have to learn: hospitality. Like how to provide an experience other than drink. People drink whatever, but how you act with them, and it is what I like. It's what I like about this profession. Is it's another profession that is pretty similar. It's a barber. The barber, when you
Mhm.
go to a barber shop, you find some barber that they are cutting your hair and talking to you, asking for your family. Oh, what you doing? Oh, I have a bar. Oh, amazing. Hey, what you doing? At the end, you become friends, and he knows all your life. You know all his life. Oh, I have a son that practice baseball, and he's so in 1 year you become friends, and you know all your life. And sometimes you go to a barber and say, "Oh, what you gonna do?" No, I need some cut here, there, a little bit. Oh, that's fine. So he make a perfect cut, but they don't mention a single word in the whole process. At the end, oh, it's $20. Oh, thank you. You pay and you leave. That was not an experience. Even if the haircut was perfect, it was not an experience. Probably you're not going back. You're not going back to the guy. You're going back to the other guy who have a conversation with you and and make that exactly the same with the bartender. And that's what I learned about this profession, and that's why I love it. And I've been 35 years doing it, and I probably know I'm gonna be doing it for the rest of my life
It's
with the
funny.
cigars, of course.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because everything that you just described about the hospitality is all like integrated with the cigar industry. Like whether you're a retailer or a sales rep or a brand owner, there's so much hospitality mixed in with what you have to do. And if you,
Exactly the
like you
same.
said, if you are like that barber that you just mentioned, if you're the barber that just says, "Here's a cigar, I'll send you an invoice," you know, it, that person might not come back to your brand. Like they'll say, "Oh, I didn't get a very personal experience. It felt very transactional." But you really do have to kind of bring that hospitality uh, spirit into like everything that you do, even just friendships with people, like building networking and like I said, becoming friends with people. It's like you
Yeah,
you
no.
have to have that hospitality mindset. But at least here in the US, I don't think like you're really taught what that means anymore. You have to hope for, like you, like to find a mentor that kind of can teach you that.
And then cigar business has this in common with bars, the socializing. The socializing aspect. When you go to a bar, the first reason you go to a bar is to socialize with other people. It's not to have a drink or to listen music or to meet a girl. It's to socialize, to socialize with people. Even if you're going alone or if you're going with a group of people, you're going to have fun to socialize. Cigar business is the same. When you have when you are surrounded by people and you have cigars, it's a moment to relax, to talk, to like to 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 socialize between people, and to have at least 1 hour. Everybody's talking, everybody's relaxing with a cigar. So it's a moment to, and it's exactly the same what's happening in a bar. So in the cigar business, it's the same. When you have cigars and you are in cigar business, sit down with people, give them cigars, have a moment. You know how many friends I have made through the years with cigars, even probably more than behind the bar, probably more. And I've been all my life behind the bar, but I've been not all my life, but the last 25, 30 years in a cigar, not business, but as a consumer, as a cigar aficionado, I've been with cigars, and it's amazing what a cigar can do when you give somebody a cigar. Say, oh, let's sit down. If you don't know them, you give them a cigar. You sit down. You have a drink together, and you start talking, enjoying the cigar. Mate, it's not the same if you're having a glass of water and you sit down with somebody that you don't know, and nah, it's not gonna happen with a glass of water, or even with nothing. But with a cigar, oh, let's have a drink. Let's have a cigar. Let's start talking, and at the end, you're friends. Oh, give me your business card. What you do? What? So a cigar, I have made tons of friends and business from cigars. So that's something amazing that sometimes when you are behind the bar, you meet people, but it's so quick. You have to be, with so many people at the same time that you don't have time to talk about business, about your family, or about anything. But when you sit down with somebody with a cigar, you have all the time of the world to talk about whatever. So I have made so many friends and so many business with cigars because of cigars.
Yeah, you know what? And I've heard that a lot from many people in the cigar industry. And for many of these people, that's why they got into the industry, because, they started off as a consumer or maybe a retailer, and they just saw how many doors were open because of that cigar, that sharing that moment with someone and just getting to know them and talking to them. And, that bond that they made, is just transferred over into like a ongoing friendship networking thing. And they remember that person like, oh, that's that person I shared that cigar with in that cigar store, or, after a great meal at a restaurant, we had got a great cigar, or after that great event, it's just like,
people don't forget. People
Yeah.
don't forget that.
They don't, I think it's hard to talk to you without mentioning La Trova. So tell us about Cafe La Trova, because I think a lot of people, because I know, like, I follow you on Instagram, and I've seen some people who are really into like the hospitality part of, they're in Miami area, they work in the cigar industry, and there's a lot of people who are like big fans of you. And I know it's because of Cafe La Trova. So tell us a little bit about how that came about.
Yeah, Café La Trova is a dream come true. It's a dream bar that I had for years. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it in Cuba and any other country, but I came to the United States with that goal to, when the moment comes, when I was ready to open my bar that represents my family history and the cantineros, that's the Cuban style of bartending and everything that is important in the Cuban culture. So La Trova means traditional Cuban music. That's the name of the traditional Cuban music. I wanted to have a place with live music, but also with Cuban classic cocktails, Cuban food, the traditional Cuban food with some twist, but also the cantinero style, rum, coffee, and cigars. Because in my dad's bar in Cuba, they had all that, everything. Like, not like music, but they have everything else. So I wanted to have a place with all that. And I had all the ideas. And when I was ready to do it, that was 5 years ago, we opened La Trova with the help of some friends, that my business partners, and my whole family works there. My son, my wife, my daughter is in New York now, but she used to work with me before finishing the university. And my cousins, my father-in-law, everybody works there. It's a family business as well, and I'm pretty happy. Since day one, we have had uh, a huge success. It was a concept that people like it. Is authentic, and we think we do it right. We respect the guests, and we give them the best for them. And we have won since year one. We have won several awards, like one of the best bar and restaurant in the United States, one of the best bar and restaurant of the world. We are in the place 21 right now in the world, but we have been every year in within the best 50 or something like that. And we have won best bartender of the United States, best bar team in United States. I don't know how many other. One of the best new bar in the United States. One of the best restaurant bar in the United States. And what else? I don't know how many awards, but the most important is that people are happy. Yeah, La Trova is like that, and we have had huge events and huge people. Everybody, all the famous Jeff Bezos, goes to La Trova. Cam Newton to smoke cigar with me, of course, and NFL players. We have had a lot of good people because we respect privacy, and Alicia Keys. I mean, a bunch of people who goes to La Trova because they love the ambience and the atmosphere, and they love the cigar. So they go to smoke cigars, and I love that too. So we have a place for that, and I'm happy with La Trova and what all the staff is doing there. You know.
So, of course, the big thing that's coming up now is, you just launched your own cigar brand, which,
Yep.
so your launch, you've made a big name for yourself in this bartending world. You have this great, like I said, restaurant bar that people go to, and now you're taking on the cigar world. So what made you want to take on, like I said, this cigar world? Because it's one thing to like cigars, but it's always a different challenge to say, now I'm going to, go on and make my own cigar. So
It
what
was a challenge.
I can
Yeah,
imagine.
it's a challenge. Everything in life is a challenge, and I love challenge. So cigars is related with my life since I was born. Since I was a kid, my dad was a huge fan of cigars. Not producer, selling cigars in his bar and smoking cigars. He was with a cigar in his hand all day long. He told me like three, four, five cigars a day, and I saw my dad smoking cigar all the time. When I was like 20 something, I started smoking cigar with my dad too, little by little. Now my son started a little bit earlier, with 18 years, with my daughter. My daughter was 15 or 14. They started smoking cigar before I started, But with 28, I think I started smoking cigar with my dad, and I learned the passion of cigar from him. But I never thought to make a cigar. Really, I never thought to make a cigar. But here at La Trova, we had so many people coming and join a cigar with us. We don't have too many brands. We have our own brands, Café La Trova brand from Nicaragua. But I decided, you know what? If I'm a person that people knows about cigars, everywhere I go, every country I visit, people ask me for cigars and they want to smoke a cigar with me because I'm a cigar all the time with cigars, and everywhere I go, the first things I do is to smoke a cigar and enjoy the moment with a cigar. So people know me in the industry, in the bar industry. They know me for a cigar guy too. And I say, you know what? It'll be cool to have my own brand of cigar. So I started doing some research how to do it because I didn't know. So I was doing research, going to Nicaragua, visiting factories, and smoking all cigars, all the brands, all the manufacturers. I mean, all of them are good. I mean, the most of them are really good cigars. But I was looking for my profile, the profile I wanted, the profile I liked it, and I found in Oliva cigars. Oliva has the consistency, quality, uh, and flavors, everything that I wanted. And I knew because I'm an engineer and I know a lot of process, fermentation, aging, how from the field when they grow the tobacco. So I was visiting all the plants, and after visiting a lot of people and smoking cigar for some years, I say, you know what, it'll be good if they can make my cigars, and I started a conversation with them, and they agreed. They accepted to make my cigar, and yeah, I'm really happy, really happy for that, and I think it's the exactly what I wanted. The best tobacco leaf, the best I could ask. Even if the other cigars are really good too, I love a lot of cigars, but I think they had what I was looking for, and I'm really happy with the quality and the consistency and everything. So uh, in PCA this year in July, we launched it in Vegas. They're not ready for distribution yet. They're coming pretty soon from Nicaragua. We launched it in July in PCA in Vegas, and I'm happy. I'm happy. Like everything start from here and then little by little. But yeah, I'm really happy. It's honoring my dad too. It's an honor to my dad. That's why the name Sacrificio. Sacrificio. So Sacrificio is the name of the place that my dad own used to own in Cuba before Castro. Café El Sacrificio. So Café El Sacrificio was the name of the place. And my dad's nickname, everybody used to know my dad as Sacrificio, not by his name, because the name of the place. So they used to call him Sacrificio, Sacrificio, and I was Sacrificio's son. the son of the Sacrificio. So when I decided to do the brand, I say, the best name I could give is the name of my dad, of the bar's name is Sacrificio. So, and even inside the boxes, you can see, my picture of my dad and some of the story behind the brand. And for me, it's like is to honor my dad and my family legacy as well, about cigars. So it is a challenge. It's a challenge, but I'm open to all the challenge. And it's something that I do. I'm creating something that is not, out of my world. Cigar is part of my world, and why not?
So I'm always curious for people who are just starting their brands. I'm sure it's different being a consumer of cigars, where you can just go into a store and buy whatever cigar you like, to suddenly creating your own cigar. So as you were working with Oliva to kind of create the cigar, the best cigar that you possibly could, what did you learn from working with the Oliva team about cigar making that maybe you didn't know before as just a consumer?
It's about the values of the process, the making process. They don't cut corners. They don't cut corners in the production, since they have a little plant. When they grow the cigars, they grow in the perfect way, and with all the steps, and then the aging process, the fermenting process, and the manufacturing process. For me, they're good. And as I said, there are a lot of good cigars out there that I enjoy too. But I was impressed in the consistency with the production and the quality of the production, and everything. So I say, you know what, this is the people I need for my brand.
And consistency is like key to cigars.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure in bartending as well, it's also kind of important as well to have consistency in what you make, because, or is it, or is consistency as important in bartending? I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. It's pretty much the same, because when you are a bartender, the consistency in your drinks, it should be the same. That was the question, right?
Yes.
Yeah. When you make a cocktail, when you are behind the bar and you're making a cocktail, the cocktail should be always the same. So if you have a guest that come into your bar today and asks you for a martini, a dry martini, and you make it this way, if he coming next week, or he's coming every week, you have to make the same martini. And not you, everybody in your bar has to make exactly the same cocktail all the time. It's not that today you're making a cocktail this way and tomorrow you're going to make it another way. All the ingredients have to be fresh lime juice, fresh everything, the best quality ingredients. And if you make a martini with the best quality gin, best quality vermouth, it should be good. Everything else is the technique you use to make the martini, the kind of ice. So in the cigar world, it's the same. You have to use the best ingredients, that is a tobacco leaf, but that's starting from the plant, the little plant. And the consistency is everything, because you cannot make a good cigar this year and then next year the same brand is not the same. It should be always the same.
Yeah, I was about to say that consistency is what builds consistent business as well. Like you said, if you think about the bartending world and the cigar world, you want the customer to come back for that experience they had. So if they had a really good experience, whether it was a great cocktail or a great cigar, you want them to be able to continue to provide that same quality, that same consistent product over and over again.
Exactly.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
Like it's training. I never thought about, like, especially in the bartending world, training everyone to make it the same way in that one establishment, so that if that one person who made that cocktail that one night isn't working, another night that that person won't say, "Oh, well, I'm going to leave because."
And that's happened a lot. That's happened a lot. You go to a place and you order a cocktail, and you come in next day with another bartender, and it's totally different. Totally different. Say, oh no, I want the. So if you have a bar, everybody should make. Everybody must make the same cocktail all the time, because all the guests, when the guest is coming with different bartenders, different nights, it should be always the same cocktail. So that's why you have to train them how to make. In a cigar factory, the same. In cigar factory, you have to train them how to make the cigars in the same with the consistency, with the same quality.
So, in terms of what you and Oliva created, could you tell us a little bit about the end product, like the cigars that will be coming to market pretty soon from your brand?
Yeah, we have 4 vitolas. The first one is the junior. It's a robusto. It's Connecticut grab. Connecticut grab with Nicaraguan filler. It's very mild. It's mild, creamy, perfect to enjoy the first cigars in the day, in the morning, even in the afternoon, but early afternoon, specifically with cappuccino, café con leche, latte. And if you thinking about cocktails, I can say a daiquiri, mojito, something like that. Not too strong, not speedy forward, something refreshing. So daiquiri and mojito are perfect with that. A glass of champagne. That's a cigar created for a glass of champagne. Simple, not super powerful or medium full. This one is mild, but it's very good. Robusto, 5 at 50, and yeah, creamy Connecticut. The other one is Lancero. Lancero, I call it elegante because it's really very elegant. Is 7 by 38. Is Habano. It's a kind of Habano with, all uh, Habano fillers, and have Cameroon grapper, and no, Cameroon binder, and Habano grapper as well. The grapper is all Habano with the filler and Cameroon binder. It's really good. It's medium, but it's Habano style cigar. It's like, I can say, like 50 minutes, 45, 50 minutes smoking. The junior, the Robusto is like 30, 35. I can say 35, 40. This one is 45, 50. The other one is a Maestro. The Maestro is a Torpedo. Torpedo is 52 by 6.5 inches. Is a Sumatra grab. Sumatra grab, and all Nicaraguan filler with some Dominican Piloto as well. This is one of my favorite. I mean, all of them are my favorite, depending what you're drinking, depending the time you have, and depending the time of the day. So if I'm right now in the middle of the early afternoon and I'm having a cappuccino, of course I'm gonna have the Robusto, the junior. And if I have 45 less than an hour, I'm gonna take the Lancero. But this one, the Torpedo, is amazing for the flavor. The complexity is medium, but it's more like leather and some soil after the raining, something like that. It's very not too complex. It's easy smoking. You can have the same complexity of the cigar in the 3/3 of the cigars. I love it, and also for the size. The size for me is perfect. 52, like 6.5. Is amazing. So the Maestro, that is a Torpedo, is one of my favorite as well. And the last one of the Vitola is El Caballo. El Caballo, the name say it all. El Caballo is a Doble Toro. Doble Toro, 6 by 60. Is a totally Habano. Habano Oscuro. Habano Oscuro, Lancero is Habano Claro. This one is Habano Oscuro, and is medium full. Medium full. This one has some taste of chocolate notes, or chocolate, coffee, and is medium full, but it's not too aggressive, not too full. It's medium full. But you can smoke it in, I can say, an hour 20 or 90 minutes, an hour 30, and it's very good. It's people's favorite. The El Doble Toro is people's favorite cigar. So this is the 4 vitolas we have for now. For next year, we launching another one. Every year we launching a new vitola, but for now the base are these 4. And as I said before, I'm really happy with all of them. I would not change anything in common production. I would not change anything. I'm happy with that, and that's why we texted before launching. We texted a lot of times, a lot of months, trying the cigars and smoking the cigars and being sure that it's what I wanted.
When you were describing the cigars and you're saying the different things you can drink with it, I thought that was interesting because in the cigar world, everyone kind of gravitates towards, bourbon or whiskey or rum. But yeah, I know you mentioned like, one cigar would go well with champagne, for example. Like, how do you approach that? Because I'm sure that there are some people who know that you like cigars, that, your establishment, the Café La Trova offers that cigar experience as well as the drinks. So how do you approach that? Like, how do you guide people into finding the perfect drink to pair with the right cigar?
Yeah, coming from the bar industry as a mixologist, like people say mixologist, but as a professional bartender and mixologist, we have to understand all the flavors. So we know what combine with every food, every dish, every plate. If you having a meat, we know exactly what kind of cocktail or what kind of spirit goes with the meat. A kind of dessert. If you having fish or it's a fried food, we know what kind of cocktail goes with that. So knowing that, it's exactly the same with a cigar. One of the things Havana sommelier knows is how to pair, how to combine every cigar, every vitola, every flavor of the cigar with drinks, not just with spirits, with cocktails. So if you give me a cigar now and I smoke the cigar, knowing the flavor of the cigar, I can say what is the best spirit or cocktail to combine the cigar. And you don't have to overpower the flavor of the cigar or vice versa, or the cigar overpower the flavor of the cocktail. So you have to know which spirit or cocktail to pair with cigars. So in case of mine cigars, and I have here. So in case of my cigars, this is the Connecticut. Let me see. This one here, the Connecticut. So this one here is the one that I recommend with champagne, for example, with daiquiri, that kind of cocktail. The second one in cappuccino. The second one is a Lancero. This one here, I recommend it with espresso coffee, because it's a Habano kind espresso rum, but not too aged. A rum like 7, 12 years old, and like a kind of Manhattan, that kind of cocktail, not too overpower the cigar. And this one here, that is Maestro, is one of my favorite. This one I recommend it with port, single malt, blended Scotch, that kind of style, thinking about the flavors of the cigar. It's Sumatra Grab, Dominican Piloto. When you smoke, you realize the flavors that had a leather and soil, wet wet soil, something like that, is better for to have a port like 10, 20 years old, or a good Scotch like a 12 years old Macallan something, or Glenlivet, and and a black coffee. Not to say espresso, black coffee. Espresso was for the Habano kind. So you have to know that. And El Caballo is the doble toro. This one, I can say aged rum, like 18 years old rum, cognac, a good brandy, or double espresso, cocktail, old fashioned, like a good whiskey old fashioned. You can have a whiskey as well, but I'm thinking about rum with cigars. I have tried everything with cigars, all kind of cigars, and I realize it's nothing better than rum, because the and I love all the spirits. I love all kind of spirits. But when I smoke a cigar, I try with everything. The best single malts, the best whatever. Rum is the best pairing with cigar for me. Some people say, no, I like with wine. Okay, perfect. You can have it with. It's good. But yeah, for me, rum is the to go to. And chocolate. I mean, if you provide a service like at the bar, you have to provide the best service possible. If you're providing a service to a person, let me see if I can bend this a little bit. So you see the chocolates. So
Uh-huh.
you give them the cigar. You have to select the kind of chocolate, how percentage of cacao, from where, from Mexico, Venezuela, Ecuador. What kind of chocolate you're gonna serve with your cigar, depending your cigar. What kind of chocolate, how percentage, 73% cacao, 82% cacao, black cacao, and like this, cigar cutter, lighter, chocolate, cafecito, rum, whatever, somewhere on a tray, and a cigar. So it's not take your cigar and give me $20. It's not like that. It's here your cigar, and I give you the chocolate for free, and I give you this, and it's a whole experience. It's a whole experience. It's not just selling cigars. It's selling an experience. It's selling an unforgettable experience. And when your first drink, you never forget it. But you're 21. You're 21, and you have your first drink. Oh, you never forget that moment. But you will never forget your first cigar and with who you smoke the cigar with. So it's something that you don't forget, and you coming back all the time to smoke a cigar with that person that you smoke your first cigar with, and it's something that you have to give them the best. I have a lot of people that they are owners of great companies. I mean, famous people, and they going to La Trova to smoke a cigar with me or with another person if I'm not there with another, because the service, the details, the everything around the cigar. It's not, oh, here your cigar, sit down and smoke the cigar. No, it's like the experience around the cigar, and sit down and talk, and enjoy the chocolates, and enjoy the coffee, the cafe, that is the same name, Sacrificio, the coffee, that is a really good coffee as well. So it's the whole experience. The whole experience. It's not selling cigars. It's selling experience. That's the most important for me.
I love that you said that, because I think of some of the best companies in the cigar industry, and they have great cigar products, but they focus so much on the experience and providing customers and just people with that experience of a great cigar in different settings. And those companies are the ones that are the most successful, I found. It's not, like you said, it's not just about making a cigar, because anyone can really, with the right connections, make a cigar. But to give the people a good experience is like a whole different level, and it kind of wraps up everything that we talked about today, which is, it all goes back to hospitality and how you kind of foster those relationships and really get to know your customers and really try to give them something that they will, a moment or experience or dinner or a cigar or drink that they're going to remember, and they're going to want to kind of recapture and come back for again and again.
Absolutely. That's true. Yep.
At this point in the show, I like to kind of wrap up this part of the interview with two basic questions. The first of those questions is, do you have a philosophy that you live by?
I have a lot of philosophy. My philosophy is always be positive, focus in what you want, and never give up. Never give up on what you really want to do. Focus in your idea, in your goals, and fight for them. So you can do whatever you want to do. It's just a matter of plan your life with a balance. Have a balanced life, and always be positive, and always work hard in what you want, and you're gonna get it.
The last of the questions for this part of the interview is, I would like you to finish the sentence. So Julio is
A Cuban. Julio is a Cuban cantinero coming to the United States to make his dream come true. That is to have a bar, to have a cigar, and to have a coffee.
Wonderful. Can you tell people what website they need to go to keep up with you and to also keep up with Sacrificio?
It's Sacrificio Cigars, .com. Yeah, sacrificiocigars.com is that the social media. And
Awesome.
yeah, sacrificiocigars.com and Sacrificio Cigars is the Instagram.
Awesome. I want to thank you for coming on today to the show, and I want to thank everyone for watching today. And Julio and I are going to be filming a couple of other things before we sign off. But for this part of the show, I would like, to, like I said, thank you everyone for watching. And if you missed any of this episode, you can catch it at youtube.com/deepcutslive or at deepcutslive.com. We also have the audio version, which is on all the different streaming platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. And as my friend Ben would say, if you're not having a good day, make it a great day.
That's amazing.